Today it's all about Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag. We have been to Genova to see the developers of Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag, and here's what they have to say about the game.
We are not men meant to govern. We take and spend and live heartily wherever we go.
We're moments away from the grandest prize of all.
10,000 times above what we could pull off any Spanish ship.
That ain't a fortune. It's a fantasy.
KARL, we're here in Genova and we've been on an old ship. We've seen a lot of stuff and you're finally soon releasing Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag. How do you feel right now? Do you feel good?
Feel really good right now, yes. It's been a very busy last 2 years, but especially the last 6 to 8 months. Finishing the game, getting it out there, getting great E3 demos, Gamescom demos, and now we see the final product, seeing it on next gen as well, so it's a great moment.
You took what was a very popular part of Assassin's Creed 3 and made it into pretty much its own game, it seems now. What was the biggest hurdles in doing so?
With Assassin's Creed 3, long before it was released, we realized that the naval was going to be very popular. We had focus tests and play tests, so we wanted to build upon this. The biggest challenge was to create a seamless open world where you can transition anytime from naval to ground gameplay. And once we got over that technical hurdle, we could really fill the world and populate it with really diverse gameplay opportunities.
It seems as if in Assassin's Creed 3 people were divided if they thought there was too much content and if it was cool enough with that amount of content. Did you think about that going into this game? Did you remove some of the content, make it smaller and better if you want?
I think the key thing is to make sure you introduce all new types of content. So all the new interesting activities we have, such as naval forwards, underwater diving, there'll be main story path missions that will introduce that to you and say, oh cool, I know this is here, I like it, I see what the icons are on the map. If I want to do more of that, I know where to go. So the important is to introduce what is there for the player, and then they can choose what they enjoy to play.
How many hours of gameplay is there in this game?
So if you just do the main path, it's around 20 hours, but the side content is huge, especially with the whole boarding loop. It can continue indefinitely, so it's more like 50 to 60 hours.
We've been playing a lot of different stuff and also the diving, as you just mentioned. Is it something that you have to do to complete the game in a good fashion, or could you just skip all of the extra stuff and go straight mission and still have, well, yeah, a good experience?
You'll have a great experience just going mission to mission. We introduced many of the different gameplays, but it is important to say that you'll need to upgrade your ship to be able to access the most dangerous parts of the Caribbean Sea. And part of that will be from doing these side activities, finding treasure chests, finding maps, being able to upgrade the Jackdaw and be as powerful as you can be.
Adewale, the Jackdaw's quartermaster.
Jackdaw. You named your brig after a poxy bird.
This game also takes a step in a somewhat different direction, seeing as now there's also some slight fiction in there with pirates and all of that. How did you cope as a team to make sure that Assassin's Creed stayed true to, well, its core, seeing it's always been a very historical game?
The golden age of piracy is a real moment in history, and many people see piracy as a fantasy, but the reality is for 10 to 15 years there was actually a very interesting time where men and women broke away from their European empires and tried to form one of the first democracies. But being pirates, they got too distracted by rum and money and women, so it all fell apart. And that whole story is actually very interesting, and we tell that story very nicely in the game.
When playing the game, it seems as if the core mechanics have stayed the same in regards to fighting and climbing and running and all of these things. Well, at least if we talk about Assassin's Creed 3. Do you see some idea of maybe changing this down the road? Because to me, I would like it to be even more challenging when I climb. I want it to be dangerous and, uh-oh, will I make this and that? And the fighting, I would like that it's not just a circle attacking me like one at a time. Do you see it making sense to change that in the future so it gets more difficult?
We have put in some changes for Assassin's Creed 4, but particularly we're trying to push stealth more. So we have the blowpipe now, we have throwing knives, one hit kills with that. And we also have gunners as a different enemy archetype, so that makes it more challenging. So you want to avoid fights where you can, or definitely strategically take out the stronger enemies before you engage in the fight circle.
On a scale from 1 to 10, how good a pirate would you be if you were put in on a ship right now?
Probably 6, and that's probably being generous.
6? That's high.
Okay, let's say 4 then. You're
what
right.
would your position be? Deckhand or something more awesome?
That's a good question. I wouldn't want to handle the rigging, so maybe navigator.
But I will never cooperate with those bastards.
So we definitely like to hear your opinion, man, about Assassin's Creed 4. It's all about pirates. Is that cool or is it not? I don't know. Leave a comment, like it, or subscribe. See you later.